Cecil Kimber modified his first Morris Cowley in 1922. At the time, he was a car sales manager at the Morris garages. These garages belonged to William Morris. In 1923, Kimber was given his own workshop, away from dealing with Morris vehicles, somewhere that he could concentrate on only his own vehicles. In 1925, Kimber builds himself a car for sporting events. It came first at the Land's End trial. It sold for £300. He later buys back the car in 1933 for just £15. Many believed it was the first MG, however it was actually their 48th vehicle. In 1927, MG takes over bankrupt Wolseley. Wolseley had been working on an Austin 7 rival. MG used parts of the prototype chassis to build its new small car, the MG Midget M-Type. It was responsible for tripling production figures for MG in just 12 months. In 1934, MG builds the Q-Type race car. It produces 146 horsepower from a 750cc supercharged engine. It had nearly 200 horsepower per litre. At the time, it held the world record for the most horsepower per litre. In 1935, MG comes under the Nuffield organisation. It then compromises Morris, Morris Commercial, MG, Riley, Wolseley and the Nuffield Group. In 1936, MG launched the SA, their first attempt at a large luxury saloon. It featured advanced performance and was a rival to Jaguar and Bentleys of the time. Over 2,700 were built. In 1941, Cecil Kimber, the founder of MG, leaves MG after a disagreement with Morris over wartime priorities. He later dies in the King Cross Railway accident of 1945. MG's post-war growth rose fast from 1,700 cars in 1946 to over 5,000 cars in 1949. In 1946, MG sets the 750cc speed record in the EX135 of over 159 miles per hour. In 1947, MG knocked 2 cylinders off the 6-cylinder 750cc engine, taking it to under 500cc. It then set the record for the 500cc class of 118 miles an hour in the new variant of the MG EX135. By 1950, MG's Abingdon factory is building over 10,000 MGs a year. By 1952, MG's demand in the United States of America begins to slide. Lord Nuffield didn't want a new MG, as it could take sales from Austin, which he had the most interest in. In 1952, the Nuffield organisation and the Austin Motor Company combine into the British Motor Corporation. Lord Nuffield retires as director and takes up a president role, with Leonard Lord taking over as the director. 1955 saw the launch of the MGA. It went against the grain. Lord Nuffield wanted all British Motor Corporation vehicles to be developed and designed at Longbridge, but the MGA was developed at Abingdon. It featured a 1.5 litre Austin engine with up to 86 horsepower, which was good for 100 miles an hour. In total, 100,000 of these were sold. By the mid-1950s, over 20,000 MGs a year were being built at the Abingdon site. The Austin Healey production moves there in 1956, at which point it's the world's most productive sports car factory. In 1957, the MG EX181 broke 5 international records at the Utah Flats, with Sterling Moss hitting speeds of up to 246 miles an hour. In 1959, MG launches the Magnette. It's the same car as the Riley 468, the Austin A55 Mark II, the Morris Oxford 5 and the Wolseley 1560. It's a Pininfarina designed model. In total, 290,000 were built in 2 years, on the same production line in the Cowley plant in Oxford. 1961 sees the return of the MG Midget. However, this time around, it's simply a rebadged Austin Healey Sprite. In 1962, MG launches the MGB. It's the MGA replacement. It features a bigger 1.8 litre engine with 95 horsepower. In total, over 500,000 were sold. In 1972, MG fitted the MGB with a V8 from Rover, creating the MGB GT V8. However, due to the fuel crisis at the time, only 2,500 of these were ever built. In 1962, MG launches the MG 1100. It's a copy of the Austin 1100, the Morris 1100 and the Riley Kestrel. It's the United Kingdom's best-selling car for 8 out of a 9-year period. In total, 2.1 million were sold in 12 years. In 1963, the president of the British Motor Corporation, Lord Nuffield, dies. In 1965, the British Motor Corporation took control of Press Steel, Jaguar's main steel supplier. In 1966, the British Motor Corporation and Jaguar merged to become the British Motor Holdings Limited. In their first financial year, they posted a £3.4 million loss, and the government pressured them to merge. In 1968, British Motor Corporation merged with Leyland Motors, which owned Triumph, Rover and Land Rover, to create the British Leyland Motor Corporation, an employer of more than 250,000 people in the UK. During the early 1970s, the British Leyland Motor Corporation was troubled, and no new MGs were released. In 1980, they closed the Abingdon factory, despite it being a frugal factory with a loyal workforce, and it cost less to build cars there than any of other British Leyland factories. The ill-planned factory closure also came at a time when MG was of high profit in the United States of America. In 1975, the British Leyland Motor Corporation collapses and is nationalised to British Leyland. It's later renamed Leyland Cars, and then British Leyland Cars Limited, and then renamed again to the Austin Rover Group.